I get more questions about my Leica Monochrom workflow than anything else. It seems the biggest challenge for black and white photographers is how to end up with photos that aren't just a dull, flat mess of mid-tone greys. Now you may think this is a niche video aimed at those shooting on monochrome sensors or black and white film, but really it's relevant to anybody who enjoys black and white photography, including those shooting on color sensor cameras. There are two ways I approach my black and white photography in terms of how I look at and edit the photos I'm about to take. So I've made two videos about this. This is part one, which addresses how to work with colourful compositions to get the best black and white results. Part two is about contrasted light, so be sure to watch that one straight after this one. It'll be linked at the end. Really, I only do a minimal amount of editing at post-production stage because there's only so much you can do with a monochrome file. So I do as much as I can before I take the photo to make sure that I can edit the photos in an effective manner to get the results that I want. The most important aspect of any black and white photography is understanding the colour that you see in front of you and how that will translate into black and white. I visited a favourite local church to illustrate this. I had a clear blue sky and the sun was low, so the church was bathed in a warm orange colour. Blue and orange are perfect complementary colours when shooting in colour. They look lovely together, but in black and white they both translate to similar grey shades. That's not good. So how can you edit that when there are no colour channels to adjust in a monochrome file? Well, the secret is what you do in camera. The secret is colour filters. If I shoot this scene with no filter, I get a sky and a church that blend together. They have similar tones of grey. You may like this, but I find it a little lacking in contrast, and I like contrast. With a yellow filter, you get a little bit of contrast, and for that reason, I keep a yellow filter on my Leica Q2 monochrome all the time. For this photo, I know that because we have blue in the sky, using a red filter will make that blue a darker shade of grey, and at the same time, because the building is orange, it will make that a lighter shade of grey. So this transforms into this. What a huge difference. You do lose one stop of light typically with a yellow filter and 3 stops of light with a red filter. That's something to bear in mind. As the sun got lower and the colours of the blues and oranges intensified, using a red filter gave even more impressive results. When it comes to editing these files, it's actually straightforward. I start by adjusting the contrast slider a little bit and pull back the blacks just a touch and bring up those shadows a little. Because there are lots of trees with lots of detail, I'll bring up the clarity a little bit and just add some texture. For a shot like this with lots of shade area, I may make a second version of the file in Camera Raw and bring it into Photoshop. With the darker layer on top, I create a mask and expose some of the detail in that shaded area. So here's the original version, and here's the final version with the second layer adjustments. That's about it. It's that easy. It's all about using the right color filters at the beginning of the process to get that contrast. With a color sensor, we can obviously adjust the color channels in editing, but with a monochrome sensor or film, we can't. A yellow filter is the classic must-have filter. Darkens the skies a little, lightens some foliage and skin tones, and I think it should be the first filter you buy. Red is my most used filter for high contrast outdoor photos, as you've already seen. You can get some really nice contrasty results. Many photographers favour an orange filter. Well, that's obviously in between yellow and red, and it's sort of a jack of all trades, master of none. It's a good filter if you only want to buy one colour filter to start experimenting with. But I prefer a red and a yellow. If you do a lot of landscape photography, you could try using a green filter that will lighten up grass and leaves in the trees, and that can be quite effective. The other way of approaching black and white photography is my favorite way, and that's to find compositions with lots of contrast of light. If you watch this short video, I'll share how I edit those photos.